Good evening. Welcome back to welcome back to In the Khud. This is 30th May 2023, 6:56 p.m. and I am drinking my cup of coffee at almost 7 p.m. The worst thing one can do with their sleep cycle, whatever. But I got late today with the coffee, and also I've been noticing in the past few days in my workouts I feel really very tired and sleepy, so this little coffee should give me a little bit of energy to get through my workout. I'm going to try and wrap this session up in like 6 minutes or so. There isn't a lot to document at all. The only thing I have to pretty much document is the fact that I rendered, after a lot of renders actually, rendered the second concept for the 3D building video that we've been working on. And let me just play the two renders. Why Windows, why? That's first music option, this is the second music option. I really don't, it sounds a bit arrogant to say don't care, but I genuinely don't care about what feedback it gets or whatever. This thing right here, that 3D animation, is like the apex of what I have been able to achieve in terms of my skill set and learning and all this effort that I've put in the last 2 years. So I'm very, very proud of these creatives that I'm making, especially the way that I have made this 3D building completely procedural using geometry nodes, and for the animation part using drivers and everything, which I documented in yesterday's video and the videos in the past 1 week or so. I'm in love with the entire thing. Now the next thing that I want to document today, the time was primarily spent making these renders. Like if you see my folder here, I rendered these PNG sequences. Foreground, I rendered 11 PNG times because something somewhere was getting messed up. So rendering 500 frames with the RTX 3060 Ti was taking like an hour or so because I was rendering it in cycles, and it's a very populated scene with a lot of geometry and stuff. So that was the whole entirety of the day. In other news, I want to document two more things. One is this very beautiful CG boost video that I saw of how you can take your rig and connect it to a Mixamo action. The only part which I found really confusing is this part here where he's trying to transfer, like using copy constraint, trying to transfer all these rigs and stuff. But I think once I do figure that out, it should be doable, like even to rigify rig. One thing which I really noted in this video is the fact that when you send your rig or your armature to Mixamo, it has to be only deforming bones and not the controller bones, and I was sending the whole rig earlier, which is why I was like, Mixamo just doesn't work. So you have to send your deforming bones. So it would be very nice if I can go through this video step by step and try and redo whatever is being done, because it's very powerful. Like if you can just use Mixamo animations, because there's such a huge library, it'll be a huge time saver for some very basic movements, instead of having to do all of them from scratch. That becomes a big pain, in bigger projects where you just need some characters doing some random thing in the crowd. And this is one thing that happens every time when I have worked a lot on one particular project, the 3D creative in this case, and then I send it out. Then immediately after sending it out, there is this weird kind of emptiness where you don't quite know what to do with life. Of course, I do have the character animation to work on, but the rest of the day I was like, okay, I'm just gonna chill and relax and not take a lot of stress. And we are at 5 minutes already, so just a couple more minutes. So the other thing that I want to document is a little more on the lines of going back to the times, on In the Khud, there's this entire series of videos where I'm like, is this job good for me? And there's something worth documenting because recently I've become very, very comfortable with this job. I'm very grateful for the fact that I can just work from home and I don't have to go to office, and everything is according to how I want it to be, except for the fact that I have to sometime work on video edits, which, if you think about it from an objective standpoint, is not a very big deal because it is part of my skill set. And even if it is an editing full-time job that I get paid for, and I also get to work on these 3D animations over time and refine my skills and everything, this job seems like the most comfortable net to be sitting in for a very long time. And so today in the afternoon there was a session where the administration, they came up with a system where there's going to be a punch in punch out, where on the portal there, like, you have to be in the office like within a kilometer radius, some geotag stuff, and there you can punch in. And so of course I have to apply for an exception for that whole situation, because that would require me to be in office 5 times a day, and that is impossible. So again, the nature of the mind is it will go to the extremes straight away. It's like, okay, if I leave this job right now, the full-time job, okay, let's just try and analyze it here while we do the inthekhud session. The first thing that comes to my mind is I don't want to apply for a video editor job once again, or a motion graphic designer job. Basically all the roles that I have been playing here, see, 3D as a matter of fact is something that I am digging up and trying to do over here in this job. It's not part of my job profile to begin with. So all of the basic things that come with my job here, I don't want to do them because I don't find them appealing, I wouldn't say, but it's just that I'm not gonna grow there. There is also a possibility that I really need to get a job, and I could get a motion graphic designer editor job as well, but again it has to be work from home. That for me right now, work from home is a bigger priority than anything else. Like if the package or something is lesser, that is fine. Like work from home is more important because the way my schedule is set up right now, I cannot spend 2 hours, 3 hours traveling in the day, because everything else will suffer. Going to the gym will suffer, inthekhud will suffer, learning 3D and getting ahead with my thing will suffer, all that will suffer. Now this is again a later thing. Primarily what I would want to do once I get off the job situation is to build my YouTube channels, right? Build Rajmeet Singh Arora, start uploading consistently there, After Effects tutorials, now Blender tutorials, After Effects scripting tutorials. I have like 4 or 5 things I've written down on my whiteboard at the top, which I can do: auto hotkey tutorials, Duik videos, workflow breakdown, Mogarts, Premiere Pro. There's so much I can do on my YouTube channel. So get that channel monetized and then start working on 3D animations for Click Reflect and get that channel monetized and have enough amount of passive income getting generated every single month where you basically don't need to have a job at that point. That's again the second thing. That's the first thing that comes to mind actually. The other thing that comes to mind is because I've been listening to a lot of satsang by Muji lately. Satsang with Muji lately. A lot of people talk about how identification with the person, one of the key features of it is the fact that you want to control everything, right? You want to have everything figured out. And I find myself in that perfect position now where I need to have certain amount of income every month. I need to have everything figured out, because any time I have like bills keep coming to me and I just Google Pay without even thinking about how much is in the account, because I have an assurity at the back of my mind that there's enough. And so when that enough goes out of the equation, the mind is going to be like, okay, now you have to figure something. So this tendency of the mind to always be in control of situations, you need to let go of. That's very hard. That's really very hard, and that's very scary, to be honest. I mean, I feel that same sort of fear rush even on days when I'm on leave. It's almost like no one's gonna ask me for work anymore, and I'm gonna not be needed anymore. Like the ego making, its own drama. You're very familiar with it. Being a human being who's watching the video on the other side of the internet here. So yeah, that's also one thing that's worth considering, the mind making its own drama. So this is kind of like, I don't know, there isn't a conclusion to what I'm trying to say here. It's like an open-ended discussion, although there's only one person in the conversation. The thing here is that there is no conclusive thoughts that I have to share. It's just basically trying to go through whatever is like the jumbled things in the mind, try to untie the knot almost. And yeah, I don't know how things are gonna turn out. Nobody knows how things are going to turn out. We're just going to wait and watch. All I know from my side is I'm going to keep getting better at my 3D and keep getting better at my art and the way I tell stories and the way I make my creatives, and we'll leave all the rest. So that is it for today's documentation. What are we at? we're at 11, which is not bad. Nice. Thank you so much for being in the khud. I will catch you tomorrow. Peace.